This is Host Jockeys Unite, the only episodic podcast that strives to not only educate and entertain those in emergency services, but to give an inside peek inside the fire and EMS services to the general public. We are here to leave a legacy for future generations. And now, here are your hosts, Chris Edwards and Jay Gallagher. Hello and welcome back to Host Jockeys Unite. And we hope you all had a great Thanksgiving holiday. I'm your host, Chris Edwards, and this is my co-host, Jay Gallagher.
10-8, dude.
In this episode, we're going to be discussing some of the obstacles that potential new candidates are face going into the fire service. We have with us today two guests who are going to share their insight on the challenges they are currently facing in the modern fire service. So settle in, relax, and enjoy the show. I'm Chris Edwards, and I'm the host of the podcast, and I'm going to give you a little information about myself and Jay Gallagher. I began my fire career about 6 years ago as a volunteer firefighter, and took all my certifications that were required, all my classes. I then moved into a career firefighter position about 6 months ago to a year ago, where I obtained my EMT certification. Jay, when did you begin your fire service?
Counting my Explorer time, it started in 1986, and I retired in 2015, so that's 29 years. I've had a long and rewarding career.
And what positions have you held throughout your career in the fire service, and explain these positions?
I did everything from basic grunt firefighter, to driver operator, lieutenant, captain. The only positions I have not held is any assistant chief or chief's positions, with the exception of I was chief for about a year and a half of a kind of a CERT based emergency response group.
Yeah, you're talking about REACT. That's where we actually met each other.
Exactly, and it's hard to believe it's been this long.
Been at least 10 years, yeah.
Yep.
And so you retired as a captain from the fire service.
That is correct.
Okay, brothers and sisters, fellas and fellettes, lend me your ears. For this is the part of the show that we call Ask the Firefighter. This is the part where you have the opportunity to email us a question, and we'll answer it to the best of our ability. Now, the beauty of this is you don't have to be a firefighter or EMT to ask the question. You could be someone who is interested in joining your local department or EMS service, and we'll do the best that we can to answer it. So, Chris, today's question is, when you're riding down the road and you see the fire truck sitting out on the pad and the fellas and fellettes are out there washing them and cleaning the hose and cleaning their gear, why do they do that?
That's a great question. The main reason I think is because of departmental pride. Taxpayers don't want to go by a department and see dirty, broken down trucks and nasty gear sitting around. You know, they want to feel like they're paying for a service and for an organized fire service. So that's really the main reason why that vehicles are washed on a regular basis. Another part would be part of preventative maintenance. As everybody knows, that clean tools last a lot longer than dirty gear and dirty tools. And finally, decon. As we know, we talked about in the last episode, firefighter cancer is a big thing, and having clean gear and decon gear just helps prevent unneeded necessary exposure to contaminants. And so if you have a question about the fire EMS service that you would like to be answered, like Jay said earlier, answered on the show, just please email us at firefighter274@outlook.com. In today's episode, we're delighted to have two guests, Daniel Edwards and Buddy Gallagher, who both started their fire careers as junior firefighters. Jay, let's talk to these fine young men.
Alrighty, guys. What we're going to do is I have a series of questions I'm going to ask you. It's going to be kind of like a roundtable discussion. I'll call on who I would like to go first. And at the end, we're going to have a little bit of fun. That sound good to y'all?
Sounds good to me.
Daniel, that good with you? All right. All right, Daniel, we'll start off with you. What department did you actually start your junior career at?
If you want to be technical, it was the Holt Fire Department down in North Carolina.
Okay. Buddy?
I started my junior career at Swepsonville until I turned 18, and then I went to Eli Whitney, where my father was.
Okay. All right, next question. Buddy, what was your biggest inspiration to get into the fire and rescue service?
My biggest inspiration was technically my granddaddy and my father. They were both in the fire service. My granddaddy, who recently passed away, was in the fire service for 40 plus years. And my daddy, who was captain at the time, was in the fire service for, I'm going to say, 30 years. So that was my biggest inspiration of all, was to get in the fire service and follow their footsteps.
Okay, Daniel, your turn. Same question.
For me, I'd have to say it was probably because of my father. And I think one day we were going down the road, and I asked him a question about the fire department because we were passing by. I was like, "Hey, you want to go and see if we want to volunteer and stuff like that?" And I think that's how it originally started out. But essentially, like when I met y'all, it's kind of just kind of happened because of that. And I was like, you know what? Why not? Everybody's doing it. I'm around people that are first responders, that are either a part of EMS, police, or firefighters. So I was like, why not just see what it was like? And turns out I like it. So it's something I'm doing. I can turn into a career and make a career out of it.
Okay. And it's a very rewarding career at that. All right, Daniel. What has been the biggest obstacle that you have faced since you joined the department, if any obstacle at all?
I would have to say getting to know people and essentially where you can go to get training. By training, I mean like going to college to get certifications, stuff like that. And obviously, and also like when it comes to trainings and stuff like that, it also has to do with mental health. So mental health is something that is very important, and I would like to believe within the fire service and first responder field and any job and anywhere. So I would say mental health would be something.
Okay. Buddy, same question. What was your biggest obstacle that you faced, if any?
My biggest obstacle is basically not the fact of getting to know people, but it's the fact of that, there's a lot of junk being talked in the fire service to where I'm there to learn, and yet there's guys sitting beside me, talking all this junk, and I can't technically hear what's being said. But then again, what they say, I might pick up on because it might be said, later on down the road in the class. And so technically I'm just there to, I guess you could say, well, that's the biggest obstacle of all. It's just, trying to hear two segments at one time.
Interruptions in class.
Yeah, interruptions in class, and plus,
well, sometimes when someone's talking in class, they may know a little bit something a little bit different than what the instructor does, but it basically boils down to the same thing. But it's more important to listen to the instructor because he's teaching what you need to know to be able to pass your certification. So, all right, next question. Buddy, this one's you started. Does your department have a specialized training program for rookies or juniors to make them more familiar with department SOPs?
Actually, yes. The department I was on put the rookies/juniors through a training program from ACC that technically made the future firefighters realize that, this is not a game. This is real life. And
now you're not talking about the certification classes. You're talking about the I'm talking about like within the department itself.
Oh, okay. The SOPs are basically, you know, basically all the same. Just sometimes some of them change. It's just sometimes you gotta look out for the changes and know what's there. So technically, you're just
So basically, what you're saying is they just handed you the book of SOPs and
told me to study them. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Daniel, same question.
Honestly, I don't think that's ever happened to me. Whenever I was at EM Holt, that never happened. And whenever I was in the transitioning to move into a different state, South Carolina, I joined this fire department and we had juniors. So there's juniors and there's explorers. And I was part of the Explorer program down there. And all it was for us, all we really did was just sit in class and learn stuff. That's all we did. We never really had hands-on experience in dealing with situations like that. It was just us learning in the classroom. We didn't really have any like standard operating procedures, none of that.
Well, that was the difference between a true junior firefighter program versus an Explorer program. The Explorer program is run by the Boy Scouts, and I guess due to their insurance, they weren't allowed to really do much of anything, whereas a junior firefighter program, they could ride the truck, get on, and actually learn things.
Yeah.
The juniors are actually run through Office of the State Fire Marshal versus the Explorers, like he says, run through the Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
So
It's just one of those things where like we didn't really have an SOP. At least when I was at EM Holt for the junior side of it, we didn't have SOPs, not that I'm aware of. And for the Explorers, we never had those either. So I don't really, I personally don't know.
Okay. Next question. Buddy, you starting off with this one. When you were a junior, what was your job on an incident scene?
My job was basically, running tools to the guys at the door who were getting ready to go in. My job, and also going off and taping off the back of a house or whatever after the fire was over with, and also taking water to the guys who were there in rehab, getting their bottle changed out.
So basically, you were a gopher.
Gopher pretty much until.
So scene control and rehab.
Now, Daniel, same question. What was your job on the incident scene?
Mostly for us, it's playing gopher, basically refilling the bottles and handing people tools, essentially stuff like that. And being a part of the juniors, at least from what I know, when I was there for my short time, we were allowed to fight fire just on the exterior, just not interior. And obviously when it came to wrecks, with us being young, we weren't really allowed to do much. We weren't allowed to really go up to the wreck, obviously, because it's something tragic compared to a fire where we can fight an exterior. We just can't go interior, obviously.
Yeah.
So there's exposure protection in a way.
Basically dealing with that, and when I moved here for the Explorer side of things, like I said, we didn't really get to do much. My whole time being an Explorer, I only got to run one call, and that was to go get a tree down in the roadway, and that was it. So there wasn't really much to it.
Okay. Let's see, Daniel, it's your turn. How often do you train with your department, and are you allowed to go to any out-of-town schools, like specialty schools?
What do you mean by out-of-town schools? Sorry.
Like going to like I used to do, like go to New Hanover County down in Wilmington and take a weekend class,
or Southeastern Extrication.
I personally don't know that. I personally haven't been able to go take a class yet to get a class done due to reasons. But from what I know, I'm not sure because I'm in one state, and the department I'm on right now is technically in another state, in technicality. And essentially it falls in that weird line for me, really said. Like I said, I don't really know. But I guess since I'm out of state, I would say yes then.
Okay.
To answer the question, yes, they do offer certified firefighters, not ones in training, but certified firefighters opportunities to go to specialty classes like Southeastern Extrication. They at Cleveland College they have Fire College, which is a big expo that has certain classes for the whole weekend. You can sign up for them.
I got you. Okay. Well, buddy, same question.
I've actually had opportunities to go to out of town schools. My most biggest one that I went to was New Hanover County, since basically it's basically right down the road from where I live.
It's a little bit further than right down the road. But,
Well, technically, it's just a straight shot.
yeah. So I know that when Buddy was still Explorer, as long as the chief would sign off on the form, he could go and take the class, and that's where he got a lot of his firefighter 1 and 2s accomplished. That was like New Hanover and in Cleveland County also.
Right.
So, okay, little fun question here, Buddy. Leatherhead Mafia or Turtle Shell Helmet?
Leatherhead Mafia all the way.
Leatherhead Mafia. Daniel?
I personally don't have a preference. Just whatever's cool. Honestly, right now, I do have. I don't think I have a Leatherman right now on me, but most of my stuff is like synthetic or whatever it is. But for the most part, I've worn turtle shells, and that's what I've mostly just had in my possession. Leather, I haven't really had enough of to say at the least, but from what I know, leather's more comfortable compared to turtle shells. From what I know, because it form fits your head whenever you're in a fire or it's hot. From what I know, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
absolutely. I can speak from experience on that one.
But from what I know, turtle shells provide more protection. They're just more sturdy, I guess you could say. I want to say reliable, but sturdy.
Okay. Now, gonna hit a couple of serious questions here. Let's see, Daniel. What is your definition of a firefighter?
Someone who's willing to run into the fire. Okay, so essentially for me, I would believe it'd be somebody who's willing to run in the danger while people are running out of it. So essentially, if somebody needs help, we'll be there to help them from the best of our ability that we're able to do, and we'll do our damnedest to do it. Essentially, we're there to assist people in times of need. And we're not doing it just because, oh, look at us, we're all fancy lifesavers. No, we're there because we want to help people. That's what we do. We're there to help people in trying times, essentially.
Okay.
Some people turn out, and if you're good at it, you can turn it into one hell of a good career. That's what some people do. So.
Okay, good answer. Buddy, same question. What is your definition of a firefighter?
My definition of a firefighter is basically someone who watches the old timers that were in the department before them, and makes a go of what they're trying to do, and like Daniel said, making one heck of a career.
So what you're saying is you watch, your definition of a firefighter is somebody who watches and learns the trade.
Especially if you're fresh out of Privy School, you watch the veterans, I guess you say, for lack of words.
There's definitely a lot to be said by getting with your senior guy on your apparatus and listening to what he's got to tell you.
So let me add to that just for a second, Jay. I'm going to add a question in here, throw you for a loop a little bit. To tie into that last question, Daniel, what do you think, what traits, personal traits make a good firefighter?
I'd say courage. Let's see. I don't know. I really don't know. I'd say like courage, bravery. I guess you could say those two fall under the same thing. Let's see. I don't want to say honorable. Honorable is not really. I don't really know. I think there's different shapes and sizes, and literally in whatever.
Figuratively.
Thank you. Um, people that are like people do it for different reasons, and they have different traits. It depends who the person is.
Okay.
Being flexible.
Okay, that's a good one. So, buddy, how about you? Same thing. What traits in a person's character do you think is important to make a good firefighter?
Honesty, accountable, bravery, and respectful are the traits that I think of that would make a good firefighter.
Okay, so what do you guys, either one of you, think about humility, being humble, or what about humility? Is that important or no?
I think being humble is very important, if that's what you mean by humility.
Yes.
I think being humble in general, I feel like to me, that's something, I would say that's one of my traits, or I would say something that's important in somebody is being humble. Because at the end of the day, you're there to help people. You're thankful, like, you going on a call could be your very last call, for all you know. Same thing for everybody. Like, every time you step out your door, or every second, every breath could be your last. And it's always good to be humble in general, and just being there to help people. So.
Okay, buddy. Same question, give or take, but do you think it's more important to be humble, have humility, or be a know-it-all and just try to run the scene all the time?
I want to say humble is the best, outside of the fact that, like, kind of, like what Daniel said in a way, but honest, knowing you went out there, gave it your all, and whether you come home or something happens on the fire ground that you don't, at least you know you were humble enough to go out there and help out in any way you can.
Good point. Okay, Jake, pick it up.
Okie doke. All right. Let's see. Daniel.
Yep.
Departments carry specialized equipment for certain incidences. What, if any, specialized equipment does your department carry on their trucks?
We actually have a rescue truck that we don't use anymore. I mean, we use it. We just don't use it for what it was used for. Since
Say that 3 times fast.
since we're since we're actually up in the mountains, we have a rescue truck that's used for like vehicles going down hills and stuff like that. So extrication was our specialty, I would like to say. It was just to help deal with like heavy situations when it comes to like wrecks or dealing with mountainsides. So I guess high and low angles would be something, just because, like you said, we're on the mountains. So that would be something I would consider to be a specialty, because we also have extrication tools on there too. So it's one of those things that I personally believe is a specialty tool. Now, for my old department, when I was a explorer, I would say I don't really know, because we have a massive tank. They have a massive tanker called Bertha, Big Bertha. You've heard me talk about it before. From what I know, it's the big tanker in the state. So I don't really know. I guess you could say that'd be a specialty vehicle, just for the fact that it's.
Yeah, it's a 5,000 gallon tanker. It is a 5,000 gallon tanker, and it is the biggest tanker in the state of South Carolina. The problem is with that, it holds a lot of water, but it throws off water shuttle routines, rhythms, because it's bigger than all the other ones in the district.
It's good for filling bullets, at least.
Yeah. I'm going to throw one in here. The department that I was on down on the coast, we had one engine that we had custom built, and it had a big reel on the back of it where we had a mile of 5-inch hose rolled up on it, and it was all hydraulically operated.
Oh.
So, because down there on the coast where we lived, it was 99 and 9/10% water shuttle, or you pumping from the sound, or and relay pumping, or we had very, very few hydrants. So that was our specialty vehicle that was unique to me. So,
Now, I have a question for you, just
okay.
because I don't know. So obviously, drafting, people can draft from freshwater, from like lakes and ponds. And I don't like this is gonna sound like the dumbest question ever probably, but it's better than I'm just generally curious. Can you technically draft from the ocean? Is that something you can do, or would that be bad because of the salt in the water? Because it would,
You can if you have what they call a dry hydrant, which is basically a large piece of PVC pipe going down underground and into the ocean or the sound, and with a stork fitting on the end of it. The thing of it is, when you're pumping salt water, and there's nothing wrong with pumping salt water, just when the operation is over with, you back flush your pump and work all of your valves on the pump panel, get all the salt out of them, so you won't have weird green things growing out your discharges.
okay. That's what I was wondering about. I just didn't know if it was possible. I would assume so.
It's possible. It's very doable. I've done it countless times. Okay, fellas. Now we're gonna have a little bit of fun. I know y'all have heard of the game Fact or Crap, right?
That's a new one to me.
You've never heard of Fact or Crap?
Fact or
Okay.
fiction?
Yeah, basically fact or fiction. What we do is I'm going to name off. I'm going to name off some tools, okay? And you and Buddy have got to tell me if it's fact or if it's crap. Okay, crap meaning it don't exist, fact meaning we use it all the time. Okay?
All right.
All right, the first one. Have you ever used a manhole jig?
I'm gonna say crap on that one.
I'm also going to say crap on that one.
Okay, that one's crap. Okay, how about ladder paws?
Ladder what?
Ladder paws. Paws.
That sounds like crap.
Buddy?
That's a fact. They do exist.
Wait, you said pause.
Yeah, PAWS. Paws.
It's the thing that's on the bottom of the ladder just to keep it stable.
Nope.
I don't know. Then I would say crap then.
No, it's fact. The ladder pause is what, when you extend the ladder, the pause is what grabs the rung and holds the ladder into place where you've raised it to.
Okay.
The little hook. The two
Yeah,
sets of hooks that are
basically-
spring loaded.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
I just know them as hooks, not pause.
No, they call them pause. Why? I don't know. It's just one of them.
Well, when you take ladders, you'll actually learn the proper terminology, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Okay, next one. The Higby indicator.
Crap.
Fact.
Buddy's got you. The Higby indicator is a real thing. If you look at your hose connections, that's where it's at. There's a little indention on the swivel. And if you line that indention up with the squire lug on the male side, it lines your threads up so you won't cross thread.
All right.
Also known as the Higby cut.
Yeah, or the Higby cut also. See, that's the difference between my upbringing in the fire service and yours. We learned it as the Higby indicator. You learned it as the Higby cut.
Right.
See, I've never heard it being called the Higby before, but like
Yeah.
I've seen like where they say this is like where you would put it and twist it in, but I've not like heard it called the Higby before.
Right.
I don't know if it's just because separate generations, and that's my assumption. With some of the stuff that you're telling me, or some of the stuff I've heard, it's different because of generations of firefighters.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you haven't taken very many classes either, so you'll learn all that.
Yeah.
This is just for fun. This isn't to embarrass anybody or anything like that.
No, no, I know.
And it kind of goes to show the difference in the generations of firefighters, from where I started, your dad started, and where you're at now. So, all right, the next one, the Carnodal valve.
Odal valve?
The Carnodal valve.
That sounds fake.
You gonna call crap on that one?
Yep.
All right, buddy, you gonna call crap?
Crap.
All right, it's crap. So, okay, now we have the hose stretcher.
Crap.
Crap.
Okay, y'all got that one too? Y'all
Just-
got me on that one.
Just FYI, your hose stretcher is not something you do in the station after everybody goes to bed at night.
Exactly. And what if you also want to get technical about it? There is a such thing as a hose stretcher. All right, buddy, Daniel, hold your hands up in front of your face.
Yep. I already knew where this one was going.
You're looking at it. You're looking at it. That's the hose stretcher, old boy. Okay, now this is a very important piece of equipment if you stop to think about it. The tanker stir rod.
Fake. Crap.
Crap.
Dang.
I knew Daniel would get this one because we actually got a volunteer like 2 or 3 months ago on it. We had him up on top of the tanker stirring the tanker. And roll starting the K-12.
Oh, you're evil.
Don't forget the tanker backup cameras.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's always a classic.
Actually, our tanker has a backup camera on it. Truth.
Yeah, but not in the discharge valve. Don't.
Right.
All right, next up, impeller, fact or crap?
Fact.
Fact.
Yeah. Do you know what it does?
Impale things. Probably. I don't know. Name's called Impaler.
What part is it for? What part, Daniel? What part does it go to?
Know this. And I don't.
It's the most basic
Hose poker?
hose poker.
I don't know. Where? What?
The impeller?
Uh-huh. That sounds familiar. I just don't know.
Buddy.
Fact, though.
After he finishes laughing at the hose poker.
Buddy, do you know what an impeller is?
It goes in the pump.
And? It's part of the pump, and what does it do?
Mixes the water.
Nope.
Well, close.
That's what the stir rod's for.
What it does when your water supply comes into your pump, it goes through the valves into or the piping into the impeller, and the impeller spins, and that's what actually boosts the pressure of your water,
Right.
and then it shoots it out your discharge.
It's a water pump in all.
Layman's terms.
Think of an outboard motor. Outboard motors have an impeller in them, and that's what draws the water up into the engine to cool it.
Now, okay, fellas, how about a Siamese? Fact or crap?
What?
Siamese.
That's fact.
Crap.
Do what, Daniel?
I would say crap, but I feel like that's just a pair of spanner wrenches. I could be wrong. Just like a different name for spanners.
Nope. Yeah, Buddy's got that one. It is a fact. A Siamese is a single inlet going to two outlets.
Okay.
All right.
Okay,
how,
so
oh, go ahead.
Wait, Siamese. Go ahead. Sorry.
go ahead, Chris.
How about, guys, how about a gated Y? Spelled W-Y-E.
Fact.
That's a fact.
It's a
I've
fact.
used them multiple times on Firegrounds, running multiple lines. one for exposure protection, and one for interior.
Okay.
Okay. All right. How about the hybrid smoothbore?
Crap.
Buddy?
Fact. I think.
Do we want to get?
You know,
Do we
I
want to
think
get
you
like
know-
technical on this or not?
I think he knows the answer, but he don't know what to say because I think he overheard me and you talking about it.
He did.
So I'm not going to give him a point for that one.
We're gonna call both of them right because I'm not 100% sure about this nozzle, but I saw a video of it. I don't know if it's just not used in America or if it's an experimental nozzle they're playing with, but it shoots a smooth bore stream, but it has a setting to where you can open a fog at the same time for protection. So I'm going to give points to both of them because it was a trick question.
Okay. We'll give them both a point. All right. Last but not least, the pizza oven hose dryer.
Crap.
Fact.
I feel like I feel like all you would do is just hang the hose up because that's usually what we would do.
Well,
Hang it up or accordion it.
that's actually the proper way to do it. But the reason Buddy said fact, there was a department down on the beach who had a pizza oven and they used it to dry their hose. And then when they finished drying the hose, they cleaned it and cooked the pizza. No
I
crap.
honestly have never heard of that, so that's a new one on me too.
So, but yeah, that one's another one that could go either way. But I'm like I said, the reason Buddy said fact is because we've seen it. So
And it was very interesting if I may say so myself.
pizza tastes like crap too.
I'll bet.
God, never.
All right. Okay, at the end of the game, Buddy 8, Daniel 6. It was close.
Very good.
So, all righty. Fellas, I want to thank y'all for being on the show with us and giving us your insight. And Chris, you got anything for them?
No, I think they both did really well, and I appreciate them joining us today.
It's been a pleasure having y'all with us, and who knows, maybe we can do it again soon sometime.
Gladly, I'd like that. Be interesting.
It's time for our pro tip, where we leave you with knowledge from our experience to help you be safe and come home. Today's tip, Jay has 5 suggestions on how to choose your next driver operator.
Thank you, Chris. This evening, like you mentioned, we're going to discuss 5 suggestions on how to choose your next driver operator. This is one of the most important jobs on the fire ground, and you don't want to just select anyone for this position. He's a good old boy, let's give him a title, or, he's family, so I'll make him a driver. Train of thought has got to go. Insurance premiums are too costly for fire departments to take that risk. Now, suggestion number 1 is look at your people. Departments need quality people doing the job. You need to ensure that your department has a process for the promotion of new drivers of the department vehicles. And this should really include doing a DMV record check. This should include any state that the person has moved from within the past 5 years, and a review of the individual's personal record with the department to ensure that there's nothing that would prohibit them from operating a department vehicle. And fellas and fellas, the department vehicles range anywhere from $300,000 to $1 million, depending on the apparatus.
So do you think it should go as deep as saying like going for a lieutenant's or a captain's exam where you have to take an exam, a written exam, and then go through a process?
Absolutely. Because as you go up in rank, that tells you that Well, it tells me anyway that you've been there, done that, and if I need you to pump my truck, you know how to do it. There's some departments that will take you right from basic grunt firefighter and put you in the lieutenant's position. And to me, that if they know the interior, how to fight interior, that's good for them. But they need to basically follow the steps. I mean, in the military, you're not going to per se jump from lieutenant to major. You got to go through the steps. And to me, with the fire department, as a former officer, it would make me feel better to know that this guy's been through all the steps and knows, what he's doing on the fire ground. Now, the next suggestion I have is have a department policy. The department needs a quality policy describing how a firefighter becomes a driver operator and how to maintain that status. Now, some of the things to look at would be responsibilities for the driver operator, which is clearly written in a job performance requirement, which if you don't know what a job requirement is, or what they call a JPR, it's a statement that describes a specific task, listing the items necessary to complete the task, and defines measurable or observable outcomes and evaluation areas for a specific task. Now, the part for the fire apparatus driver operator qualifications can be found in NFPA 1002, 3.3.14 in the 2017 edition. That's the newest I could find on that. Now, they also have to have the authority to drive and operate the department apparatus. In other words, they've been checked off by somebody and qualified by the senior driver operator or a officer or a chief. Just don't jump in willy-nilly and take off down the road, because you could get into a lot of issues and trouble doing that. And lastly, on that part is accountability. Can I hold this person accountable to take this $1 million piece of apparatus from point A to point B, arrive there safely, pump the truck, and go back to the station safely? Are they mentally capable of doing this job? Are they physically capable of doing this job? There's a lot of factors that fall into the physical and the mental part, such as, like with the mental, can you take the stress of the sirens and the traffic and listening to the radio and following your officer's orders when you get on scene? Physical, or can you pull a supply hose by yourself, tie into the hydrant, tie into your pump panel, and then charge it without passing out, becoming winded, or, God forbid, falling out with a heart attack? As things you've got to consider there. Now, my third suggestion is on the training. Departments need to have quality training on how to do the task correctly for pumping the truck. And this might sound silly, but no more Gomer Pyle drills. Internet searches that I've done for fire department driver training programs show a good number of sources that they can look for. It's like they include expectations of the driver, like we were talking about above, with the the responsibilities, the authority to drive, and accountability. Describing the necessary learning objective and performance measures to meet those expectations. Officers set up a obstacle course that they would have to drive through and then tie into a hydrant or or a overboard water supply, and let them charge a line and pump it. Okay, and also to provide the proper tools for documentation and completed training. Your training officer should keep forms of everything that you do, any kind of certifications, whether it be in-house or weekend schools. It should be documented to where, God forbid, if something happens, they have proof that you were trained to do that. That was one thing that my dad, when he was chief, was really, I don't want to say anal about it, but definitely made the statement that, you bring your certificates to me and we'll get it in your folder. In some departments, they set up their own training classes for aerial ops, pumper or engine ops, so that the prospective new driver operator can be more familiar with the SOPs of the department as pertaining to the apparatus.
Well, to tie into that, actually, I feel that the driver operator should be responsible for and trained to do apparatus maintenance. Maybe not like heavy duty, like fixing the engine, but weekly maintenance, adding oil, checking coolant,
Yeah.
Things like that. And they should be responsible for the paper trail for it. If you do it, you should be the one that signs off on it, that you check the oil and that you added coolant and check the tire pressure. The daily or weekly maintenance, however your department has it set up. That, in my opinion, is a task for the engineer.
Yeah, I think that would go under the job performance requirements.
Yeah.
Learn to know how to check the oil on the truck and the brake fluid. On the older trucks, it's not diesel and air supplied. It's, they had the manual brakes where you had to check the brake fluid. Automatic trucks now, the transmission fluid. They should definitely know how to do that. Suggestion number 4 would be supervision. Your members should exhibit quality supervision to ensure that the task is done right. Not every fire apparatus driver operator in your department will make a good driving instructor. And that's okay. Nobody's perfect. But somebody can help, and somebody will know, the appropriate way to teach somebody to do the job. And lastly, is discipline. Members should enact discipline when policies are not followed. Lack of accountability is a big potential problem in many fire department programs. Every driver operator of the apparatus should know and understand their responsibilities, and the traffic laws for that position, and the consequences for not carrying out these responsibilities. So those are some things to sleep on, nibble on, and bring forth to your chief and your training officers, so you can, on your next selection for driver operator. Like I said, it's the days of the good old boy system needs to go.
Agreed.
Insurance is getting higher by the day, and good old Flo at Progressive would probably have a stroke if you called her and said, "Hey, we got we wrecked our truck and
rolled it over."
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to bring that up, but yeah, do your research and bring it before your chief, your training officer, your board of directors, and hopefully this will help you not make a bad choice.
So, Jay, do you have any final thoughts on this week's episode?
Well, I kind of touched on it in our premiere episode. senior guys, don't be afraid to take your rookies and your juniors and teach them. Their minds are wide open. They're hungry for it. Feed it to them. Teach them what they want to know. Teach them above and beyond. Because, like I said before, the life they say may be their own.
Yeah, it's like the old song says, I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way.
Exactly. I agree 100%. And thank you for not singing it.
And don't forget to tune into our next episode where we will have a special guest to tell us all about Narcan and opioid overdoses. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. We're listed on all major services. We'll see you next time.
10-7, dude.
10-7.
2 in.
And 2 out. You've been listening to Hose Jockeys Unite. We hope you've enjoyed this episode, and please tell your friends about us. And always, always remember, even truckies need love too.